All right. Welcome, everyone. We have another fun TLN webinar happening today. And today we're talking with Aunt Flo. I have Genevieve Jaser here to talk with us about what Go With the Flow looks like, what Aunt Flo can provide to your library, and talking about menstrual products. So with that, I'm going to let you take it away.
Thank you very much, DJ, for the intro. And welcome, everyone. I'm actually going to share my screen. Give me 1 second. And then I'm going to make this full screen. Can everybody see this all right? See?
Looking good.
Okay, beautiful. Let me move this over. But again, welcome and thank you so much, DJ, for having me today. I love libraries, first of all, and I love talking about menstrual equity and supporting libraries with this. So we'll jump right in. Please, if you have questions, we have the chat. You can unmute yourself as well. But if there's any questions like throughout this, please, I love to answer questions. And then at the end, we'll also share out this presentation. So you can click through links, get in contact with me, would love to chat. But I wanted to jump in. I wanted to introduce myself. So my name is Genevieve, like DJ said, and I've actually been with Aunt Flo for 3 years this October. So just about 3 years now. In total, I've probably worked with almost 100 libraries at this point, but very passionate about menstrual equity and creating an equitable experience for women and people with periods. So this is like really what I love to do, love to connect with people. And then, fun fact, I actually really enjoy writing poetry. I've been doing it for about probably 15 years. And baking sweet treats. I love making little sweet treats. And now that we're in fall, very much on the pumpkin spice train. So that's just a little bit about me. So you know who is this person speaking at us. But let's talk a little bit about Aunt Flo. So I'll go on here. So I'm going to go through, just so you know what I'll be going through. It's going to be an overview. The first half is really like, what is Aunt Flo? Like, what is going on here? Second half is like logistics. So how do I actually implement this at my library? What does this look like? And then additional resources. So that's kind of the breakdown of today. If we're going to go forward. First thing that I think is really important when people hear about Aunt Flo. Some of you might have heard about Aunt Flo. We're in Novi. But if you've never heard of Aunt Flo, we are actually an organization that was started by Claire Coder. This is Claire Coder here. Um, and in 2016, so Claire was 18 years old. She was at Ohio State University. She was going to an entrepreneurship event where she was going to be speaking on stage. And she went into the restroom, got her period unexpectedly. The only thing in there was the clunky coin-operated dispensers. She didn't have a quarter. There's no product in the dispensers. And so that was a major roadblock, right? And at that moment, that was the defining moment for Claire to really found this company to ensure that people with periods have all the basic necessities in the bathroom, right? You go into the restroom, there's paper towels, there's toilet paper, but there's no menstrual products. And so that's why we're here to ensure that if you get your period, you have an equitable bathroom experience. But absolutely phenomenal story. And Claire, literally 18 years old, that's when she founded us. It's been, I think, almost 9 years now. So really excited. And then this is probably the central question that makes up what we do, right? Like, well, if it's not currently offered, why would we provide period products in bathrooms? And so, aside from it being the right thing to do, we have a few other points here as well. So, one is that it certainly supports educational and menstrual equity. We have a bunch of studies. One of the most popular mentions this statistic here, which is that over 85% of people have started their period in public without the products that they need. And so when you do decide to offer period products in your library, you're really removing an obstacle and ensuring that, again, everybody that's entering your library and using that bathroom has what they need to enjoy their time there without disruption. Another thing is that low cost, high impact. This makes a huge impact, not just at the library, but in your community. People know that they are cared about and that they have what they need when they need it and where they need it in the bathroom. And then, of course, one of the big ones here is staying compliant. So there has been lots of legislation revolving around, making sure that you have public bathrooms stocked with period products. Oh, was somebody saying something? No. Oh, no, okay. If you do, let me know. Just raise your hand or unmute. But there's a lot of legislation, especially in this past year. One of the really exciting things is that there is actually legislation in Michigan. So if you are in Ann Arbor, Michigan, I believe they were the first city in the United States to have a citywide ordinance. So if you were in Ann Arbor, all public spaces in Ann Arbor are required to have period products in their bathrooms. So that's another really big motivating factor here. So just keeping that in mind as well. And then I want to go through just a little bit more information as well. So specific to our organization, like what makes us different? Why go with the flow? We have a awesome dispenser that we designed. It is actually two of them are patented, two of them are patent pending. And so they're ADA compliant. We have the word flow instead of on flow to ensure it's gender inclusive. There's Braille on there. We have a viewing window, just really great, really thoughtful features, I would say, went into our dispensers. And we'll talk more about that. I'll show you real pictures of them and everything. And then quality. So we care deeply about the quality of our products, how they're sourced, how they're made, how they affect the environment and the end user. And so because of that, our products are actually OCS certified, which means they're organic cotton certified. And then we also have no single-use plastic packaging. So our cartridge products are packaged in cardboard, which is awesome. And then inclusivity, of course, like I said before, we have the word flow instead of on flow. We also make sure that everybody has these products accessible to them. So just also, I think I mentioned this, we're women owned. So I love that as well. We're women owned and operated, designed by women as well. And so just making sure that we're inclusive to all people that need this product in the bathroom. The last thing I want to touch on here is mission. So we've had and have an impact program, and since 2021, we've actually donated over 6 million period products to our partners who then distribute it to their local communities. So definitely want to make sure that we have really support for anyone that needs it. Any questions? I know I've said a lot of a lot of things so far about our company. Is there any questions before we move on?
Also, I'll note if you have questions and you're on desk or you just can't come off mute, drop them in the chat. I'll be happy to read them.
Thank you so much, DJ. Yeah, please don't hesitate if there's anything. This slide actually, again, we love Novi Public Library, but this is just some of the libraries we're partnered with, and so you might recognize a few of these names, but we love our libraries. We're in over 1,500 libraries now, and so just wanted to shout out some of our awesome library partners here as well.
I did see a question just drop in the chat real quick.
Sure.
How could it be that period products are not covered by WIC and SNAP?
Yeah, that is a great question. And that is a question I wish I had the answer to. Absolutely. But that just to re kind of say this, this is why it's that important to have it in the bathroom because it's still stigmatized. Menstruation is still stigmatized. Period products are still stigmatized. And so making sure you have it in the bathrooms helps ensure people have access to it. But absolutely second that point, 100%. We'll keep going on. Anything else in the chat I'm missing? Okay. And then I wanted to also highlight, this is one of my favorite library quotes. This is actually from Krista at Kirkwood Public Library, but Krista was speaking about why this was important to their library. One of my favorite lines is here is the second one where it says, the library is already providing these basic necessities such as tissues, toilet paper, soap, and hygiene products. And so this was just another basic necessity that belonged in the bathroom. And in that last quote there saying that Krista's library, their commitment to supporting the community extended beyond books and information. It was also for the comfort and care of their patrons and staff. And I think that is such a great all-encompassing way to say why this is important for libraries to do and the difference it makes in not only employees and patrons, but the community as well. So just wanted to highlight that. I love this quote. See? Go this way. So this is the part of the presentation where we're going to start looking at this specific, like logistically, how do I get this at my library? What does this look like on the ground running supplies? So we're going to dig into that. So you'll see the actual dispensers, the actual products. We can go through some cost and then also just very specifically, like how do we implement this? Before I go into the specifics, is there any questions at all about what we do, our company, anything on the top of your mind right now? Anything? Let's see. I'm not seeing anything, but DJ, let me know if I'm missing anything. But if there is, you can always put in the chat. Then we will move on to kind of the specifics here. So really simply put, um, it's 3 steps. So you basically select a dispenser or dispensers that make the most sense for your bathrooms and your organization. You get the period products, which again, are organic cotton, they're packaged in cardboard. And then 3 is the disposal system. So how do people actually dispose of their products? Because as we know, period products are not flushable. So that's a really quick, this is how we implement this at our library. All right. And then of course, when we start to get into pricing, we'll see a whole bunch of kind of nice offers like free signage, we'll have 5% off. And so just keeping this in mind when you're thinking of actually implementing, definitely a lot of perks for implementing in your bathrooms. And this is a great slide because you can see very clearly our most popular dispenser, which is our Model E. And so I wanted to go over, like, this is what the Model E looks like. These are the pads and tampons, and then this is the disposal system. And so when you're looking at Model E, we'll go into more details as well, but really, like, quick snapshot is you see that viewing window. There's Braille on there. It's ADA compliant. And then another thing I'd like to mention is with the older kind of clunkier dispensers, wrist mobility is required, which means if it's like coin operated, you're required to go like this with your hands, which is not ADA compliant. And so all of our dispensers, including the Model E, to get a product to dispense, you would just press those almost like gray paddles on the side. You just press it in, and then the product would dispense in that little like belly area right there, the underbelly area. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is the pads and tampons themselves. They're both going to be organic cotton. They come in 500 counts. So you won't have to order as often. And just so kind of like to give a snapshot again, if you have one dispenser, 1 case of tampons, and 1 case of pads, you can completely fill that dispenser 10 times, which is awesome. And that's a really good baseline to see what your usage is going to be. And then, of course, going on to the disposal hardware, the disposal bin, that's the one kind of sitting there in the back. We also have the bag dispensers, which is the little one with the little coral colored bag sticking out. And so if you have any concerns of like plumbing issues or you've had people, flushing things they shouldn't in the past, I would highly recommend looking at our disposal system because that really helps ensure people can take the bag, throw away their used product. And not only is it hygienic, but they're not going to flush it down the toilet. So that's a really good thing to think about. And I have heard that from libraries that if there's a concern of that, this will help. So any questions on the first glance of what does our products look like?
We got one in the chat. When pressing the gray panels on the side to dispense the product, could you press just one side and have it have the product dispense, or do you need to press both sides?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it actually, if you press the side with the tampons will come out. If you press the side with the pads will come out. So in our Model E, which is dual, that means it's pads and tampons. You would just press the side of the product which you like. So the Apple certified symbols there for pad and tampon, those kind of designate which product will come out. But that's a great question. So you would really just press the button of the product that you wanted. Yeah, great question. And then I'll actually move on. We have more specific information, don't worry, in the following slides. This is a beautiful slide because it's all of our dispensers. And we're slowly spelling out period. So we have the P, E, R, and O. And so happy to go through certainly what I've seen is the most popular dispenser with libraries. And then you'll also see kind of the different features on all of these. But if we start with the P, Model P is pad only and it's wall mounted. I have seen this occasionally put in libraries. Most of the time, I see it in younger populations like K through 12s or middle schools. The difference with the Model P, really with all the other ones, is that Model P is pad only. It's going to be pad only. It's going to be 100 pads. And the rates and everything are under here as well. So Model E, that's our bestseller and our most popular with libraries. E and O are probably our most popular with libraries in general. And so Model E, it's wall mounted. It looks very similar to Model P, but there's 50 pads and 50 tampons. It's still going to be ADA compliant. You're still going to have the gray paddles. You'd press whichever side of the product that you'd need. And then that's pretty much it. To lock it up or to restock for Model P and E, it's just a universal key, that little keyhole on the top. You would undo it. It would come down towards you. You go boop, 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 put them all in. It's only 5 stacks of 10 for the pads and then handfuls of tampons until you get to 50. Then you lock it back up. So it's that simple. The viewing window makes it easy because you can just take a quick glance in the bathroom, see what your usage level is, and not have to unlock it every time you're checking stock. Um, and then did I see a question?
There was a question, but it also got addressed by the slide. So, but I'll
Oh,
ask it for the reference. Just
sure.
are the dispensers compatible with products or for with other products than the ones from this from AntFlow? So, are there other brands that would be compatible?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So our cartridge products, which are the products that work in our dispensers, are only compatible with our dispensers because we designed our own product. It's organic cotton. It's packaged more sustainably and more slenderly. I actually can show you. I don't know if you're able to see my little corner here, but this is actually what the product looks like. So it's very slender because we've designed it that way. We do not recommend using other products because they're just not made the same. They don't look the same and they could damage the gear. If you do have a dispenser already that you're satisfied with, we do have organic universal products, which means it's product that we make, so it's still going to be high quality, but that will fit with other dispensers. So that's a great question. Happy I could clarify that. Um, and then just want to jump back in here. So the last two remaining dispensers I wanted to point out, the R and O, R is recessed, which means instead of being hung on the wall, this is actually going to be cut into the wall. I most of the time see this used in a library if you already have a recessed dispenser of another brand that you're trying to remove and replace with ours. That's a good idea. Most of the time, I've noticed that libraries like wall mounted, they're usually easier to install. And if you ever do need to, remove them and put them on a different wall, you're able to do that with wall mounted ones, less so with the recessed ones. Um, and then last one, just to point out real quick, is the Model O. This is also popular with libraries. The difference is that the Model O is made of stainless steel and Model E and P is ABS resin, which is a really durable plastic. So I've seen Model O used, one, for aesthetic reasons, and it actually makes sense. A lot of people have stainless steel appliances already in their restrooms, and people are more likely to use something that looks modern and clean. And so some people will match their other appliances to our stainless steel. Um, and then that's still wall mounted, same products and everything. Real difference is that the type of material is stainless steel versus a durable plastic. Um, but that was a lot of information. Let me know if anybody is looking at this or hearing me talking, going, wait, I have some questions. Please feel free to type them in the chat or connect with me after if that's more comfortable for you. I'm gonna actually keep going here. So love these little gifts. Love our marketing team for this. So I wanted to just point out the performance, dispenser performance. So we had a life cycle test of 10 years and the performance rate was 97%, which basically just means they're super durable and you can count on our dispensers. Um, Time and cost as well. I've kind of mentioned this, but the viewing window, we actually asked facilities teams, what can we do on our dispensers to make this work for you and your team? And they said, put a viewing window, because a lot of dispensers don't have a viewing window, which means every single day they have to undo it, add more if it needs, or if it doesn't, they're just opening it and kind of wasting time. We just added a viewing window. So whoever it is on your team, usually it's janitorial or custodial that would be installing and restocking these, they can just do a quick glance, look at the viewing window, and if it's all stocked, they're good to go. And if it needs a few more, they unlock it and fill it up. The last thing is, I know I've mentioned this, but high capacity, because we have 100 products, that is, I think, more than double what the competitors kind of have. It's actually 50 on each side. So 100 products is quite a lot for a dispenser, and that means you don't have to restock as much and refill. So just a few little points there.
There was a quick question in the chat too that just popped in. Are all of the dispensers wall mounted, or is there anything that would be like standing on maybe a counter or something like that?
Yeah. So just to go back to this, so that's a great question too. So they're not all wall mounted. The wall mounted ones are going to be P, E, and O. So 3 out of 4 are wall mounted, which means they hang on the wall. R is recessed, meaning it gets cut into the wall. If you have something where you want it to stand alone, most people will put it on their walls. If you have a really small restroom and it's single stall and there's low usage, you could definitely put, we have something called a display box, which I can show you in a few slides. Um, that usually gets put just on the counter, but I wouldn't recommend that in high traffic spaces because it's not as secure. But good option if you have like a single stall, low traffic restroom, and if you're looking for something that needs to be sitting on a counter. Yeah. These are great questions, so please don't hesitate. I love answering questions, and they're great questions. And then basically, I highlighted each of our dispensers here so you can get a, first of all, a better visual, but also some more information so you can kind of check out what's going to work best for my library. P, again, don't see this super often used in libraries, but definitely if you're looking to provide pads only, this would definitely be the best option. Um, I'm just going to keep them up for a few moments so that if anybody needs to kind of check out information, they can check it out. But again, we'll send this out after as well. The E, which looks very similar. So this is the pad and tampon wall mounted. So again, it hangs on the wall. Don't worry, we also have installation guides and videos. But I have to tell you, we all did this in person and it took us 12 minutes. And it was absolutely incredible seeing that it really doesn't take long to do a wall mounted dispenser. But again, this is the E. That's our bestseller and our most popular with libraries. Keep going here. R, like I said, is the recess one. So definitely bookmark this if you have a older dispenser that's recessed that you're getting rid of and would like to replace with ours. It is stainless steel. So just to keep that in mind as well. And then the Model O. So again, stainless steel, but wall mounted. You can basically consider it, it's like the Model E, but made with stainless steel. So the only difference really is the material used. And this can also be mounted on the wall. I know I breezed through those a little bit, but is there any questions about any of the dispensers? Is there anything in the chat I missed?
One just came in as you asked.
Oh.
Um, can we order cases of product that are 50/50 pads and tampons?
So that is a perfect question for this slide. What we actually do is we sell the pads and tampons separately. The reason we do that is because most of the time you'll see higher usage with one product. I can say with certainty, in my experience, I have seen that libraries go through more pads than tampons. So for example, you get, double the amount of pads as tampons or something like that. We sell them separately. So it's 500 pads in one case and 500 tampons in one case. So if you're thinking like 50/50, it would just be getting however many quantities of pads and tampons makes sense for your library, but they're the same price. So they both come in 500 counts and they're both $162. That's including shipping. The only additional charge would be if you're taxable. Most libraries aren't. So that would very likely be your full price. Um, but yeah, you would just order however many pads and tampons you like and need. think that answers that. Any other questions I missed? Okay, beautiful. But that was a perfect question because this is actually the product slide. And so again, organic cotton, really just wanted to show the breakdown here of what they look like as well. Um, the excuse me, the tampon itself is called a cartridge tampon because it's packaged in cardboard and then it's packaged in paper. So you have a few layers of protection before you actually open the product. And then the product itself is smooth tip applicator. So it is cardboard, but it's smooth tip. And I always show it and talk about this because I think we've all had an experience where cardboard applicator isn't designed for the body or by menstruators and it's uncomfortable. And so just want to be really clear, like it is smooth tip and it's what we call a petal shape, which means there's like 8 little petals around. And so it's really comfortable for insertion. We're just trying to get rid of that single use plastic. So that's why you see that there. With the pads, same deal with the organic cotton. Internal product is organic cotton. They're both mid-flow, by the way. That is a common question I get asked. It's usually 3 to 5 hours of wear, and that's considered mid-flow. The pads are also going to be in a cartridge, which means it's just cardboard instead of plastic. Um, and then again, just want to point out because we make them mid-flow because this is meant to be in those moments of like, uh-oh, it's crisis. This wasn't expected. And so these products are meant to hold a patron or visitor over until they can get to their usual supply. That's the idea behind making these mid-flow. Move on from that. And I'm gonna move on to our signage, which is amazing and libraries love it. And this is signage that you can actually put in the restroom. So just wanted to highlight a few of these. We have so much more, but these are some of our most popular ones. You can customize a lot of this signage as well. We also offer it already made so that you don't even have to do anything. We just ship it to you and you can put it up. But this is really just to increase education and visibility surrounding the program. And we've definitely seen that the more education and the more visibility people have of the program, the more successful it happens to be. So definitely recommend promoting and putting signage in your restrooms on the back of the stall and in any high traffic public facing area, like there's a main walkway or bulletin board. Here we go. And
Oh, go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead.
I was just going to say we got a really interesting question in the chat. Have you had any complaints from libraries about people abusing this service? We have a very small budget for supplies like this, so we're just not sure if we can set aside hundreds for it.
Totally. And I absolutely want to validate that concern. Like we get that. That's a very common concern of like, well, we don't currently offer it. What's stopping somebody from grabbing it? The first thing I always say, because it's so true, is you're not monitoring how much toilet paper someone is taking. And I absolutely understand that like this is coming out of your budget. You want to make sure it's successful, but we're not monitoring the other basic necessities. I think part of that concern is because there's still a lot of stigma and we don't consider it fully a basic necessity. The other half is totally hear that concern. And yes, you probably agree with what I just said, but you want to make sure that people aren't just taking this. Because of that, we have the signage. One of our most popular things is actually, I think I sent this to you, DJ. It's our customizable signage. We have completely free versions, and then we also have the versions I just showed you. And so increasing education, starting conversations in your library about this, and then actually putting the signage in place next to the free period products has helped many, many libraries kind of alleviate that concern and make sure that they have something that's going to be long-term and successful because completely understand that concern. You're looking into putting something that is going to be freely offered, especially if it's not freely offered, it's going to be new. But just keeping in mind, we have the resources to help you make sure that this will be successful as well. And did I say another question?
More of a comment. Yeah, someone just put in the chat that they didn't think it was really reasonable to compare the toilet paper to period products. They're just having a problem with folks taking paper towel.
They're having an issue with people taking paper towel.
Mhm.
Yes. And if you have had that issue where you've had people, I don't want to say abusing, but kind of taking more product than you would assume they would, I highly 100% put the signage in your bathroom. This isn't like end all be all gonna 100% solve that, right? Because I think it's wise to say, nothing is going to 100% solve that. But to make sure that you feel comfortable and it's going to be as successful as possible, put the signage, put it around your library, put it in the bathroom, and start conversations as well. Announce this, announce what this is. Make sure people really understand what this is so that there's a greater chance of them respecting the program. Yeah. Anything else on that at all? And I'm happy to like after I won't spend too much time on the signage, but I would love to show anybody the signage, send it to anybody who needs it so that you understand what I'm saying because we want to make sure you feel like completely supported with this. I would say 9 out of 10 of our libraries that we work with implement signage and have good feedback on it. So definitely a resource that I'm happy to share out after. Right, I'm gonna move on. Oh, actually, I didn't get to talk about display box. I think somebody asked about this earlier, but this is what I would recommend for those lower traffic single stall. So if it's a staff bathroom or a lower traffic single stall bathroom, this is a great solution if you have somewhere where you definitely want to put it on the tabletop and still offer products. So just wanted to highlight this. This is a really smaller option for lower traffic, but a great option nonetheless if you want something for a smaller restroom. All right. And then these are very, very specific. I won't spend too much time here, but basically we have cartridge products that work in our dispensers, and then we have products that are designed for the display box. So they're for example, of the applicator tampon, we don't have the cartridge cover, right? It's for the applicator tampon, it's just going to be a paper cover because the cartridge is what allows it to go through the dispenser. And then the pad packets. If you do end up wanting a plastic option wrapped in plastic, you could always do that. These are less popular, but still wanted to show them in case you have something where you're like, I don't want to use cardboard for whatever reason. We have this as well. All right. And then this is something we haven't talked too much about, but the disposal bin and then the liner bags, just wanted to show this. We've had a few comparisons to like a diaper genie, if anybody's ever used a diaper genie. So you would just wave your hand over the top, you would dispose of the product, and then it's done, right? And so basically, whoever would be in the bathroom, again, probably custodial or janitorial, all you would have to do if you look at that little kind of illustration there is it's a continuous bag. So you would just cut it, tie it up. They wouldn't be touching the products themselves. And so really like this as a more hygienic and safe way for both the end user and your team, your custodial team, so that it's definitely more hygienic. Just wanted to show that here. And then this is something new that we recently kind of offered. And we've had great feedback. I actually have one on my desk right now. I love them. But it's called a disposable bag dispenser. This again helps with that concern of like, oh, we've had people flush things they shouldn't be flushing before. It's one per stall. It's basically a little dispenser that has disposal bags. So somebody that needs one would remove their used product and dispose of it. And it definitely helps promote throwing it away in that bin instead of flushing it. So that's a really good solution if you've come across that before. And then, of course, the actual disposable bag. It's branded, plant-based, and biodegradable, which we love. That's something that would be great for that. And then before we move into kind of more, some certifications, is there any other questions that have popped up so far? Or anything I can clarify at all?
Nothing in the chat, but I was going to ask a question. As maybe for people who don't experience the need for menstrual products, how long typically would you expect to see them last, like shelf life, right?
Oh, yes. So we recommend, I think it's 3 years, but let me double check that. So keep it in a clean, dry area because it is a paper good. And I actually really appreciate that question because period products do expire. So the thing I would say is don't order more than a year at a time, right? Like I wouldn't want that sitting around. But from date of manufacturing, I believe it's 3 to 5 years. So just keep it in a cool, dry place. And then really just, you don't want it sitting around for like 3 years, right? So just order as needed and keep at most probably a year of supply on you. Did that help answer? Was that your question, DJ? Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure. Um, yeah.
So there are a couple more that came after that. Um, one person just commented, I think I could see patrons taking a bunch of bags and using for their pet disposals in their daily walks, but that might be helpful too. And then additionally, how much does the display box cost?
Hmm. So I have not heard the one about the doggy bags, but I mean, that is interesting. I honestly have just never heard that. If you think that might be an issue, they are in the stall. So if somebody was going to go take that for their dog, they might grab one or two. I don't think that's the end of the world, but that would certainly be a first. But I think something to consider nonetheless, right? Like it's in the bathroom. And then the second one was the display box. So those are
Mhm.
$29. That's with shipping included. So $29 for a display box. Yeah. Anything else there's in the chat?
That's it.
Okay. And then I just want to go over, I know I mentioned a few of these, but just to be like super clear with sustainability efforts and certifications, something I hear from libraries a lot is green initiatives or green standards. And so just wanted to outline some of the things here that we are, aside from, women owned, FDA certified cotton, and then also the other things we just mentioned with really trying to get rid of that single use plastic. Um, and then also a big one is made without fragrances, dyes, and dioxins. It's just organic cotton. That is what our products are. Um, I see a question, I think. Did I miss a question? Okay.
I was just gonna say, is asking if the slides could be shared, and we will be sending those out after the
Sure,
event.
absolutely. And there'll be links. There's links to things too in here. Anything else in the chat, or is that it? Okay. And this is just a slide highlighting really what we do with our donation partners who then distribute it to their local communities. So love all of our uh, really our partnerships here. You can see some of them mentioned. You've probably heard of some of them, like period.org is a very big one. We also have like Hope and Comfort, Love Your Menses, the Policy Project, and Justice Necessary, and then the ISSA. So just wanted to highlight this. We do have a whole slide on this too on our website if you ever want to see the partners that we donate to. Now, this is what I'm really excited about because this is specifically for libraries and public buildings. And so you may have heard of Know Your Flow. It's also relatively new. We actually launched it's called a microsite, which is knowyourflow.info. So if anybody wants to like check it out, it's knowyourflow.info. And you can also scan it there. But specifically what this is to help ensure people that visit your library have access to um, really information about menstruation and menopause and why is this important and menstrual equity. They know which libraries are committed to menstrual equity as well because you can list yourself as one. And it is one of like the most awesome free resources I've honestly seen to do with menstrual equity and menstruation. It is awesome. It actually, I think we were really inspired by libraries because if you look on the website, it really is the belief that a period should end a sentence, not a trip to where, like to the library, to the store. And so that's the idea here is to make sure that everybody has access to information they need about their bodies or about others' bodies. And so I think this is one of those things. Definitely check it out. I've linked it here too in the Know Your Flow. So can I click it real quick? I just want to show real quick. Can you see this all right?
Yep, sure
Okay,
can.
so it is like seriously awesome. So we have a bunch of information. We actually did a webinar. And then if you want to look up anything specific, this gives you a great place to start, whether it's your first period menstruation or menopause. So a lot of educational resources there. And then once you become a flow site, you would basically just enter in your information and then um, you'd be a Know Your Flow library. So that is a really awesome resource that libraries enjoy. So I wanted to share that. Um, and just I'm really excited for this too. I know we've had at least I think like 20 or 30 people already submit to be a Know Your Flow library. So a very good resource and something to look into.
Now, do you
Anything
have to be a part of, do you have to be an Outflow library to be a part of this?
So I want to say yes, only because if you offer period products and mental health information, I don't want to say it's because of us, but it's likely that you probably might have Aunt Flo because a lot of libraries do. If you don't and you still want to, offer resources, please by all means download these resources, link this as a thing. This isn't only, you can't only access these resources if you use Aunt Flo. Like please, if you you don't decide to use OnFlow, access these resources and provide them to your community. But I think just to highlight, educational materials and that kind of thing, that's kind of the idea there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course. And then I kind of just outlined what does this mean, like to be a Know Your Flow library. So again, like the educational materials, offer those free period products, and then you just submit your organization as Flow site. That's pretty much it. I think we're just at the end here. The last slide I had was just my information. But I wanted to maybe, do we have a few minutes for questions?
Of course, yeah. If you have questions too, you can come off mute, or if you want to drop them in the chat, I'm more than happy to read them still.
Thank you so much. And also, like, if there's any questions, I'll stop sharing here. But if there are any questions that you feel more comfortable speaking, like one-on-one about, or if you have questions specific to your library, like, I'm happy to meet about literally anything we can help with, resources, anything.
Okay, I'm seeing a bunch of questions. A lot of thank yous. Just thank you for the information. Um, there was a question. We offer a free public hygiene locker. If we offered Aunt Flo in the restrooms, are we obligated to offer them in the locker as well?
So you are wherever you can and are able to offer products, do that. That's what I would say. Like I have a lot of libraries that have, it's almost called like a resource pantry or like a period pantry that will have a dispenser and products in their restroom and then separately do a little display box or product loosely in like a pantry where people can come in and take it if they need it. So that's just an example of like you can do both. You can offer it loosely and then have it also um, specifically for people that might need to run in and grab it.
There was another question of are there grants available for OntFlow or through OntFlow to provide these to libraries?
Yeah. So when we don't specifically offer grants, but I've had a more than a handful of libraries who source grants, whether it's like grants.gov or local grants to cover the initial implementation of OnFlow.
Additionally, do libraries that offer these to the public offer them to staff as well?
Yes, love that question and highly recommend offering it to both staff and patrons. So whether there's a staff, this is a great question because if there's a staff only bathroom and it's single stall, and if you have a smaller staff, this might be a great place to put a display box, especially because it's staff only bathroom. If your staff shares the same restrooms as the public, then I would say you're fine to just have the dispenser in there and then both staff and patrons can access it. But love that question. And I think that's just thoughtful in saying, right, we want to offer it to our entire staff, but also to our patrons. Anything else I missed? Is there any other questions so far?
I don't think so. I know sometimes period products are also offered in like teen spaces.
Mhm.
Not always necessarily in the bathrooms, just because they might not have access to things like that. Do you recommend any kind of way for that being displayed?
Almost, you mean not in a bathroom, but as in part of the library, like a teen area?
Right, it might be in a teen area, like in a shelf, or even potentially on a desk.
Okay, definitely, definitely. If it's going to be placed on like a desk somewhere, and again, probably lower traffic, not in the bathroom, but there in case a teenager might need to grab it, I would probably do the display box. I have never seen a library put it in the shelf, but that just seems like such a beautiful thing to have it on the shelf, like a little box. So, um,
Mhm.
I love that idea, and I would say if it's not in the bathroom and it's just on a tabletop, that's probably what I would do.
Um, you got to comment that your enthusiasm is infectious, Genevieve. Thanks for the info.
Thank
Um,
you. Appreciate that.
uh, I have a question too. Do you, in general, recommend anything depending on people's communities or how they want to, provide products? Obviously, some people who do experience periods don't use a women's bathroom. What do you typically recommend for that?
Love that question. I appreciate that. So I would say to make sure that everybody has what they need, regardless of which bathroom they're using, most of the time what we see in male designated bathrooms. So if you have gender designated bathrooms, which most libraries do, meaning female designated, male designated, and then staff are gender neutral, in the male designated bathrooms, a lot of people will put a display box. It's a little bit more discreet, and you can put it right on the countertop. And then in female designated or gender neutral, any high traffic, that's where we usually see dispensers. So highly recommend making sure it's in all restrooms, in some capacity and in the capacity that makes the most sense. Appreciate that
Perfect.
question.
Yeah. Any other questions? We still have a little bit of time. If you have just general comments or you're also welcome to still come off mute if you like.
And we'll share the slide too. So like there's a bunch of info. So I think that'll be really helpful too for everyone to have.
For
Anything?
sure. Yeah, I will be sending out an email. So if you registered for the event, you'll get an email with this. And then feel free if you do have questions, you can always reach out to me, and I can pass along Genevieve's information. Thank you all for attending. Thank you so much, Genevieve, for
Oh,
presenting. This was great. And in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
thank you so much, everyone. And don't hesitate to reach out. My info's in the last slide there.
All right, take care.
Bye.